Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Retro Gamers Podcast, episode number 381. Larry here.
And Anthony here.
And what is going on, sir? Look at you.
Look at me. Yes, I am enjoying the wonderful, beautiful outdoors. It's great to get back to nature and really dig in and enjoy, little animals everywhere while I'm in a backyard.
I was going to say, I don't think I've ever seen you do anything nature related.
This is about the closest you're ever going to see me to nature. Where like I'm in a backyard and I've already seen one little gecko that wants me to go run inside screaming. So I don't do well with nature.
I actually had a little lizard a couple years ago somehow end up here in the apartment. I don't know how that happened. I saw him scurry. There's a couple outside. Listen, they're nothing major. Yeah. And I look out the corner of my eye. I'm like, what the hell is that on the floor? And I see this little guy scurrying across the floor. He couldn't get his footing. So I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah. So I went to, capture him to put him outside. So I put a cup over him.
Yep.
And I accidentally decapitated him. I did. When I picked up the cup and everything, I'm like, where is the rest of you? Oh, there you are on the floor.
We call that manslaughter.
Yeah, so. Unintentional homicide. So
unintentional homicide. Larry, killer of lizards.
Oh well, if you know me.
Is that just like leftover anger from the Leisure Suit Larry game that they named after you? In the land of the lounge lizards.
I could not. Good pull. Holy cow. I could not. I'm still mad. I did not know how to play. I got to talk to John about that because I don't even know if he knows how to play that game. Probably literally, not. Like how the controls work because nothing worked on it.
No, nothing worked.
Whatever.
Maybe you needed a joystick for it.
I know he had one hooked up.
Oh, that's right. We couldn't use that.
Just either. Nothing worked. All I was able to do was answer the questions.
Maybe you broke that computer.
That's 100% positive. Mm-hmm. And if I did, I'm not responsible. So
no, not at all.
But be that as it may. All right. So we're here, folks, for another wonderful week. Ant, you're clearly not home, so you're still traveling.
No, I am still traveling. I will continue to be traveling for the next couple of weeks. I am currently in sunny Los Angeles, California.
Oh, okay.
My old home, my second home, my would have been forever home.
Are you literally at your old home?
No, I'm at my friend's home.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
It would be funny if I went to my old home and just kicked out the people who live there now and be like, "Hey, this place is mine for a week."
Oh, that'd be like in the garage that we recorded out of that one time. That was another home that you had.
Oh no, that was another home.
Yep. I don't think I actually visited your last apartment.
Most people didn't.
Okay, fair enough.
I was only there a year.
Oh, that's it? Wow, that's actually a long time.
The last one I was at was only a year. Yeah,
that was a long time.
Hey, that's not true. Wait, never mind.
Well, have you had a chance to get anything? Had a chance to shop? A chance to visit some of the old stomping grounds?
I've been to some of the old stomping grounds. Unfortunately, all of the old stomping grounds I've been to are food related, so I really don't have anything.
Did you go back to the
that cake place? Of course.
Oh yes! Oh my gosh!
Yeah. Aroma Cafe. I will always go there.
The hands down best Arnold Palmer on the planet.
Yeah, and the best cake on the planet, in my opinion.
Oh, so. Cake's as big as my head. Oh my gosh!
Yeah, in fact, I'm gonna be there later today in that area. So I have a feeling I'm about to put on another 5 pounds. So,
it's your Cheesecake Factory of Los Angeles.
It basically is, except when I go to the Cheesecake Factory in Los Angeles.
And that is the literal Cheesecake Factory of LA.
Yes, literally. Unfortunately, I didn't get anywhere. Although my trip isn't over yet, so I may get an opportunity later today to go to one of my old gaming stomping grounds. So if I do, I'll take some photos and video.
Sounds good.
But I did get one retro item that is not video game related that I'm very proud to share.
Okay.
So backstory on it is a good one too, because a friend of mine that I work with, he's a big comic book collector.
Mm-hmm.
And he knows that I also have, a comic book collection as well. And I've been trying to fill them in for a while. And he's got a hookup at this comic book store that he goes to because I guess where it is in Los Angeles, there are a lot of people who come in there. A lot of people go into comic book shops to get rid of comic books too.
Mm-hmm.
And the stores will buy them off of you cheaper so they can sell them for a profit. Well, it just so happens that the store he goes to, I guess a lot of maybe, let's say, not so honorable people go there.
Okay.
When they've come across a comic book collection or a comic book thing that they want to sell, so they can buy other things on the street.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
And my friend, like, what'll happen is this comic book store will call my friend and say, "Hey, I got this guy who's trying to offload X, Y, and Z. I don't want it. Do you want it?" And then he'll go there and he'll like lowball the hell out of them because it's like, here, I'll buy this from you, and you can get like, a couple of days of fixes
Because they're desperate. Yes.
Yes. So
this
not
is
exactly
Central.
Not exactly. Yeah. This is what?
This is located in South Central.
I have no idea.
Oh, okay.
No comment. Anyway, so he actually got me a comic book because every once in a while he'll message me because he knows what I'm looking for, and he's like, "Hey, I got this guy. He wants it. He's selling this. Do you want it?" And I'm like, and for this one, I said, absolutely. So I now have in my collection something I never thought I would have. Now, granted, it is the 1966 reprint. Okay. Not the original, because the original one would be unbelievable. I'd probably faint if I had it. But I've got Avengers #4, the first appearance of Captain America in the Avengers comics. When they brought him back.
That's very cool. Look at that.
Yeah. So now the original one came out in 63, but then they did a reprint in 66. So the reprint obviously isn't worth as much.
No, but still, that reprint is from 1966.
1966. Yeah,
oh, wow. Still. Okay.
So this comic book in my hands right now is 58 years old.
That's still, sentimentally speaking, that's still something.
And it's not in, it's not in the best condition. They're the corner missing and stuff like that. But still, like, I've always wanted Avengers #4, and the actual Avengers #4 is super expensive. So just even getting the reprint, which goes for a little bit of money too when it's in great condition. So it's just nice to have in my collection.
That's awesome. Sometimes, and the same thing you can say with comic books. I mean, with video games, sometimes the repro is worth alone purchasing because you can't get your hands on the original because the original. So I mean, I got a couple of repros myself. I know I got a repro of Pop Full Mail, which I think actually just came out on. No, that's Parasol Sales. Never mind. Pop Full Mail. It's a repro. The regular game goes for a few hundred, I believe. Yeah. But repro is what it is.
Yep. That game also recently turned 30.
Yes, it did. Yes, for those of you who follow.
Yeah, for those of you who follow us with our retro birthday posts on Instagram and Facebook. And then what was I going to say? You were talking about Pop Full Mail, and another game popped in my head, and I can't remember what it was. I got a repro of Sunset Riders the last time I was in Singapore.
Yes, that's right. You did mention that. Yes. Yeah, nothing wrong with those. Yeah.
No. There's nothing wrong with repros. Also, Superman, I think, for Genesis was a repro that I bought.
Superman, Death and Return?
I believe so.
Probably, because I think that game's expensive as well.
Yeah. So, nothing wrong with repros if you want like the cartridge-based experience, or CD-based experience. So really cool. Unless you order the CDs from limited run games and they send you a CD art, it doesn't work.
But it's still original, so that's okay.
Yeah, the original CDR that you can't play.
All right, now I'm just curious, and if this is worth it, I'll leave it in. If not, I'll take it out. I am now trying to price the original Avengers #4 that was released March 10th, 1964.
That was 1964.
64, okay. Yeah, you were close, trust me. Cover price was 12 cents back then.
Correct.
Here we go. Fair market value for a 9.6.
Yep.
$46,000.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Safe to say that I'm not going to get my hands on
That's okay. Well, you can get a 2.0, 2.0 graded for $750.
Yes.
That would be bad.
Yeah, that would be the only way I would get that one. And actually, that price has come down because I bought Avengers #1. I bought a copy of that years ago.
I remember that. Yeah,
I believe it's a 2.0.
Yep, worth it. So very cool.
Oh, it was totally worth it.
Very, very cool. And kind of fitting as well when I did Game of the Week this past week, last week, I should say, Captain America and the Avengers.
Yeah, exactly. See, that's why I got this.
There you see, solidarity, my friend.
We went for a theme.
Absolutely. And for those, because apparently there's some people out there who listen to the podcast, watch the podcast, and still know nothing about it. Remember, folks, we drop that premiere or possibly live. It depends on how we feel every
Hmm.
Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern.
That is
So
correct.
go, be prepared and don't text us saying, why didn't you tell me about it?
Yes.
So that's inside baseball for you. With that
Yes.
being said, though, I think today, really just we're going to keep it loosey goosey here this week, because I want to talk about real fast, and it's piggybacking from conversation from last week. And Anthony, you brought up an amazing topic, an amazing game last week where you were playing Atari 50,
Hmm.
really kind of for the first, not for the first time, but you really deep dove into it
Yeah, I
on
was
your
digging
flight
into the
to
games.
LA.
Yes, I was digging into the games, which was nice.
Which also I wanted to mention last week, and I'll ask you now because I feel like a couple weeks ago you said that your de facto travel system is the Steam Deck. So what made you decide to take the Switch with you this time around?
Well, what was funny about it is I took the Switch because I was getting in an Atari mood because when I remembered that Atari had added games to the collection, I was like, I have to download an update to that. And I
Did
was
you
like, oh,
not update that? That came out at Christmas.
yeah, I haven't updated it. So I was like, so when I took it out to update it, I said, you know what, I'm going to take the Switch with me this time because I'll see, I'll play the Atari 50 a little bit, and then I played a lot of it.
Yes, very, very much. And so to pull the curtain back a little bit, and for those who watch on Spotify and on YouTube, we put because I've been editing the episodes lately. I have a great time doing it. So I
Yes.
wanted to put in some quick gameplay of the games that Anthony was talking about. And I didn't want to pull them straight from YouTube because I was lazy. So I did what actually ended up being more work and having to hook everything together to record the gameplay that I ended up
It's
doing.
not
So
it's not more work if you're playing the games.
this is ultimately what I'm going to get to. You're right. I'm just
Yeah.
talking about the setup and the
No,
actual
no, no, I know.
execution. Yeah.
Yes.
So I ended up grabbing that gameplay. So all the gameplay that you saw last week from the short of Firefox is that I had to pull from YouTube, and I gave the credit. I forgot who it was, but I gave credit for it. I that was me. That was me playing the games. So when we were talking about it on the show, I only played these games very little because when I got the Atari 50 and when you got it for me for Christmas a couple years ago, like I went straight to the
Hmm.
2600 games and the Lynx
Of
games.
course.
Like those are the two systems I was playing.
Hmm.
And a little bit with some of the arcades, but not the ones that you mentioned. But when I was talking last week, all my comments about some of the games that I played were with very limited gameplay.
Hmm.
After doing what I had to do last week to play, and these are what, 5 games, I think it was, 5 or 6. I'm in love with these games, and you did it to me again, yes, OB. You
Hmm.
mentioned games that I've never played, much like Dante's Inferno, and I am now like in love with these games.
Well, that's what I do.
Apparently, you know me gaming wise better than I know myself.
That is very true.
That's
I know a lot of
disturbing.
things. I know a lot of things about you. I wish I didn't. But
There's a lot of things I know about me. I wish I didn't know.
but no, I mean, I think there were like 7 or 8 that I had listed last
Something
week.
like that.
Yeah, it was a good healthy number, and I'm glad that you went back and took the opportunity to play some of them because I was so surprised when I played them, and I was like, wow, I go, these games are all awesome, and I never, and never crossed my radar at all. Now, granted, I had an Atari 2600 growing up, so
Mhm.
if it wasn't on the 2600, I didn't play it unless
Correct.
I happened to come across it in an arcade randomly.
Mhm.
And even when I went to the arcade, like if I remember, like Atari games I played at home that were in the arcade, they were more of the ones I already knew, like Missile Command,
Mhm.
Asteroids, Berserk, stuff like that. Like, I don't remember really venturing out to these other kind of games like a Black Widow or a Quantum. Or
I don't remember seeing them.
things like that.
Period. They were not at Buddies, and I don't remember seeing them
No.
at Funtime.
Well, but also at that point, if it wasn't like a super popular game like an Asteroids, they would have replaced those cabinets with something newer.
True.
So-
They're really what you're right. When we were growing up, yeah, the arcades were always whatever was new and then, not nowadays where the whole idea is,
Exactly.
get that retro feel. But I just want to mention a few of these and just kind of give almost my new perspective because some of these games, like I said, I only played for a little bit. I didn't give it much detailed time.
Hmm.
And almost every one of these games, I have a completely um, new thought process for. So let me start with Quantum. So
Hmm.
Quantum was the game that's the trackball game that we were talking about.
Yes.
That is a little difficult to play with a controller, but I don't know what happened. I don't know if I was in the zone or whatever, but you can see the gameplay. Like something like switched in my head, no pun intended, and I was able to maneuver and use the joystick perfectly.
Nice.
I was getting multiple enemies at once. And getting the circle down because it doesn't have to be like a perfect circle.
No.
So um
Did you try using the screen? Because we talked about that last
I did
week.
not because I have it on my TV. It's constantly
Oh, okay.
docked. It's constantly
Okay.
docked. So I should try it, but one day. But what was I going to say? Just playing this game and just using even just using the controller, I just I nailed it, and I had so much fun with it. And like I said, I kind of compared it to Quicks or Kicks, whatever you pronounce it,
Yeah.
QIX, and it does have that feel to it because you're trying to complete your lines or your circles before the enemy gets you. But again, it looks gorgeous on the TV screen. I'd love to see this in person. And I feel like I might have though. I feel like Game On might have had it because Game On's really the only arcade I've been to.
Okay.
Really the only one around here that I can think of off the top of my head. So, but yeah, Quantum loved it. Even though I kept calling it Gravatar every time I would go to look for it, and I started recording, and I'm like, this isn't the game Anthony was talking about. Why? What does some doesn't make sense? I'm like, oh, this is something else. Major Havoc. Major Havoc was that kind of like multi-style gameplay.
Yes.
And for the record, I'm most likely not going to go back and put gameplay back into this episode. If you want to see gameplay, check out last
Go
week's
to
episode.
last week's episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Major Havoc, yes, and that first part of the stage is like a shoot 'em up, almost like what Galaxian.
I said Space Invaders, but it
No, it
was
has Space
more
Invaders
a little bit.
feel to it, Galaxian, Galaga,
Yeah.
stuff like that. And then it switches to a very, very quick Lunar Lander
Yeah.
game, like you said. And then this kind of not a side scroller, but almost like just like an action game that you almost like a puzzle game where you
A
had
little
to
bit.
find, yeah. And the three tiers of that really kept you on your toes. Each,
Mhm.
as far as the shooter portion of the game, that had enough variety on each level that it just wasn't repeating the same kind of shooter. So you could almost have an argument saying one of those levels is like Space Invaders. One of the levels is like Galaxian or Galaga.
Yeah.
So that I enjoyed. I enjoyed the heck out of.
Cool.
I'm trying to save the kind of obvious one for last. iRobot. iRobot. I played that one. Again, it's got a very like, 1, 2, 3 look and see style to it.
Yes.
I enjoyed it. I can see where the fun is with the gameplay. Again, that multi-tier type.
Yep.
But those birds kept getting me every time. It wasn't even
Yeah.
the eye that was the
No, the
problem.
birds were tough. Yeah. Hmm.
The birds and trying to line up
Yes.
because you had to line up on the same plane, if you will, to jump
jump.
around.
Hmm.
And that was a little more difficult. I'm curious if the arcade maybe doesn't have a 3D look to it, but I'm wondering if when you play the arcade, if it had a different style to it that made that part seem a little bit easier.
Maybe.
Maybe I don't know. Food fights, just food fight. I mean
Food fight's fun. Yep.
that mouth opening is just
Yes.
wild and wicked. And I was trying.
You did a good rendition right there.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. It's the reason why I've been trying to lose all this weight. So the game itself, though, because you mentioned that there was a replay version. There's a replay in the game when you do something on it, and I could not get the replay for the life of me. I kept trying everything to do. And then just magically, I was literally about to be like, all right, I'm not showing this on the podcast. And then at the last second, it goes replay or whatever it says. I'm like, oh, I nailed it. Sweet. And I got the replay, and that's where it was on there. A couple of the games we mentioned, I'm going to skip over, but Liberator, the game that you said is like the reverse Missile Command.
Yes.
I despise Missile Command.
Okay.
It might very well be my most hated game of all time. It might be. That and Burger Time is right there.
Yeah, I know how much you hate Burger Time.
Right next to each other. But Liberator, I probably played the most out of Liberator.
Wow. That's surprising.
No, it surprised me as well.
Yeah.
You're right. It has that same gameplay where you shoot the missile and then like the little explosion for like 2 seconds hits that will destroy
Mhm.
anything that crashes into it. And then having the different planets
Yeah.
firing at you. There's actually bases on the planet that you
Yep.
have to fire at as well. And I was going into this one again thinking I'm going to hate this game, but let me play it just to get the recording. Again, this is probably the one I played most out of all of them.
That is awesome. I'm happy that you did.
And then the final one, I played Cloak and Dagger. Awesome. I kind of got that's pretty straightforward. That was pretty good.
Yeah.
But the one I want to mention is the prototype one, the one that was never released, Aka R.
Hmm.
And Aka R, yeah, in the beginning is kind of difficult to figure out how to play. But once I figured out how to play it,
Hmm.
oh my gosh, it was so much because it's broken up. The overworld is broken up into like sections,
Hmm.
and each section you fire on, that entire section glows, and that's kind of like your targeting system almost.
Yeah.
So when all the enemies are in that particular area, if you fire on it, yeah, they all
Get blown
get
up.
destroyed. And then zooming in, like you said, to zoom into that kind of inner level to
Hmm.
fire off on everything again to the point where I was getting so good on the outer level, I wasn't getting any filming for the inner level. So
Oh, nice.
I did have to kind of pull back a little bit and wait for some of the enemies to fly into the middle. So
That's
I
awesome, though.
I did have to cheat a little bit to get that. But yeah,
You have
I
to
mean,
cheat in reverse.
basically, yeah, cheating just to show you what's going
Yep.
on. So, bottom line, again, you did it to me again. Like I said before, I've been playing the heck out of these, and I am shocked that Liberator is really the one I've gone to out of all of these.
And there's nothing wrong with that. You know what? It could just be, the format, like, the screen, the way that it plays on screen is why Missile Command wasn't appealing to you.
No,
With
Missile Command just sucks.
No, Missile Command's an awesome game. It's an awesome game. I love that game. But just taking it, flipping the script on it, and giving you a completely different experience, even though it's like a similar gameplay, can make all the difference.
Yeah. So,
So,
but nevertheless, I just wanted to comment on that. I know it's kind of a rehash of last week, but I had to mention it, and I'm
and that's
still
perfectly
getting
fine.
so much use out of it. And I can't wait. We'll see what the 39 new games are. Hopefully,
Yep.
there's going to be some more prototype. Oh, that's the other thing I wanted to mention. So, in Atari 50, there's 4 or 5 2600 games that are locked
Yes.
in the game.
Hmm.
And God help you if you can figure out what the dumb riddles mean to unlock the games. I don't know if you ever read any of them.
I haven't done them yet.
Oh my God. I'm looking at them and I'm like, well, I don't even know what this means. So I can either, on my end, I got tired of it and I looked up how to do them. And I'm like, oh, that's how you do them. When I read them, I'm like, this kind of makes sense on what
Well,
to
where
do.
where are the riddles? Because
Okay.
you know what? I'm gonna look for them now.
Okay, fair enough. The riddles are in. So when you go to select the games to play,
Yeah.
right? There's
Mhm.
5 of them that are like in like a confidential folder. They look like,
Yes.
and they have like these black blocks that look like something from Wheel of Fortune.
Mhm.
When you click on it, that's what gives you the riddle
Okay.
on how to unlock the games.
All right. That's all you need to tell me.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
And a couple of them, I'm not saying I'm not going to give anything away, but what I'm going to say is, for a couple of the games, I thought I had the riddle down, and trying it, completely wrong games because it wasn't doing anything.
Oh,
And then when I
oops.
looked it up, I'm like, oh, okay. So give it a shot. I'll give you some sort of grace period maybe to try and unlock.
I'll report back next week. I have a
Oh,
lot
1
of
week. All right.
well, I have a lot of traveling coming up.
That's true.
In the
You got a
near
lot of
future.
downtime.
Yeah, so I'm gonna have a lot of time to play.
All right. So let us know how you do it, and maybe next week we'll give the spoiler alert early to be like, we'll reveal how those are unlocked. Needless to say, I haven't unlocked them yet because still trying to do them is a pain in the butt.
All right, good to know.
But nevertheless, so all right, cool. With that, we're just gonna kind of truck right along because I'm feeling the heat in New York right now because it is wicked hot and wicked
Yep.
humid,
Nice.
and everything's gonna start melting. So let's get straight into game of the week, shall we?
All right, let's go into game of the week. And it was your choice. You bogarted my week.
I actually wasn't even my choice. It was my cousin's
know.
kid's choice, my nephew's choice.
Yes, and I was happy to step aside for a child.
I wouldn't be, so kudos on you.
No, I know you would just like steamroll over them.
I wouldn't even mention it.
Sorry, kid. Mhm.
So yes, my nephew Ryan picked a classic, an absolute classic, and Super Mario Brothers. there's really nothing to say about Super Mario Brothers, and it is probably one of the best video games of all time.
Hmm.
And for a lot of us, even those of us who grew up with Atari, I would almost say like Super Mario Brothers was almost like the introduction to these longer form games compared to an Atari game.
Yeah, for the most part. I mean, outside of a game like Adventure,
Mm-hmm.
where you're running around multiple screens and stuff like that. It's definitely a game where, yeah, there was a lot you had to accomplish before you can get to the end. And Atari, I don't think ever made it to that point. They kind of,
No.
at least, let me rephrase. 2600 didn't. I don't know about, maybe the 7800 had more games like that, but 2600 definitely did not. And then, yeah, Super Mario Brothers. And I think that's what one of the major appeals of that game was when it came out, because it wasn't just, I'm going through a board and then I'm going through it again and I'm going through it again. It's like, no, it's like you are laying out 32 different levels that I have to go through before I can get to the end of this game. And also the concept of an ending for a game, because again, with most Atari games, you just played until you lost all your lives, and it was a high score thing.
Yep.
So really diving into the idea of like, there's an ending to this game and you can get there.
Yeah, and a reason to play the game. A lot of games had stories, but like this one, you had to save the princess, and you had to keep, the princess was constantly in another castle. Stupid Toad.
Yeah, 8 times you had to save her.
Yeah. 8 times, 9 times.
And 7 of them were her little underlings.
Yes. So this game, again, we're not going to go. Everyone knows the history of this game, honestly, and really, we wouldn't even be doing it justice to talk about the history of the game itself.
No,
but there's a couple of interesting things that I kind of came across. Well, really one in particular. World 1-1, which is the introduction for a lot of us with video games. Introduction to Super Mario Brothers, where I've read almost memes have been made about it, where the most sadistic, oh no, I'm sorry, the one enemy in any video game probably with the highest kill count, if you were to count all of them from the day the game was created moving forward, is that very first Goomba in World 1-1. Because when you first play the game, you don't know that's coming at you, and boom, you run into it.
People just like, what do I do? You walk into it and you die.
Exactly. But from Wikipedia, I got this from, of course, World 1-1, the way it was designed, the way Miyamoto actually designed the game, designed the level, I should say, it was essentially a tutorial to Super Mario Brothers without calling it a tutorial to Super Mario Brothers. It forced you to figure out to run. It forced you to figure out to jump. It forced you to figure out how to kill the enemies. It did all that naturally, basically. And to think about how that works, after I read this very short paragraph here, which I'm not going to read here, you can check it out on Wikipedia, but just to hear that again, it was a tutorial. I can't really use any other word because I don't know any other words. I'm terrible at this.
Yes.
It just kind of blew my mind. Then after I read that and when I went back and played it, I'm like, yes, this makes sense now. Because a little bit of me just remembers going back to playing Super Mario Brothers for the very first time and learning how to play the game and figuring out what those question blocks were and everything like that.
Yeah, exactly. Like it forced, it didn't force you, but it very gently guided you on what to do. So it's like you see a question mark box and you're like, oh, what is that? Let me jump. Oh, it does something. Great. Let me open this one. Oh, there's a mushroom in it. What happens if I grab that? Or when you get the flower for the first time and it's like, oh, I have the flower. What am I doing? Oh, I can shoot fireballs now. Let me try and see what happens if I hit the enemy with fireball. Oh, wait, I can kill the piranha plants.
Exactly.
Again, tutorial is the right way to put it. It just teaches you everything.
And also, that's got to probably be one of the few levels of any video game that we've all played thousands of times. Because there's no level select, not as much.
No.
Level select in the game. So whenever you play Super Mario Brothers, you are starting at 1-1. In fact, there are probably levels in this game that I don't remember at all because of warps versus knowing verbatim, if you will, or by memory, or whatever the memory version of verbatim is, of what World 1-1 is. I mean, we can probably both sit down and draw out World 1-1 by memory almost.
More or less, yeah.
Yeah, more or less. Yeah, it won't be picture perfect. But I will quote this from Wikipedia, which is quoting another quote. So we're really inceptioning this. In an interview with Eurogamer, Miyamoto explained that he created World 1-1 to contain everything a player needs to gradually and naturally understand what they're doing so that they can quickly understand how the game works. According to Miyamoto, once players understand the mechanics of the game, they can play more freely and it becomes their game.
Yep.
And again, you can see that as well in Zelda, in Legend of Zelda. You don't know what to do.
No,
there's just a little, there's a black box on the screen,
yeah.
and you don't, who knows what to go in there.
Yeah, there's a little, you're on a screen, there's a black box, and your natural instinct is to, well, that black box stands out. What happens if I walk over to it?
So kind of just that discovery of the first level.
Yes.
So with Super Mario Brothers, we mentioned this on an episode before. Super Mario Brothers is probably the one game that I've repurchased on multiple systems over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
I have a list of, and I cannot guarantee that is the list of all of them, but I have a list of 16 different systems, quote unquote, that Super Mario Brothers has been or is currently available on, and I'm going to list them all right now.
Wow.
And here we go. NES. And this is some sort of variation. NES, Super NES, Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance, Wii, Wii U, Switch, 3DS. Here come the weird ones. The GameCube, a Game & Watch, the arcade, a pinball machine, the NES Classic. One of the first re-releases of the games was on the Famicom Disk System. And there are official ports, I believe they're official, on the NEC PC 8801 and the Sharp X1.
Wow.
Those are just ones I was able to try and locate.
Did you say Switch?
I did say Switch, yep.
Okay. I don't know why I didn't.
Yeah. And GameCube would be from Animal Crossing.
Yep. Note how the N64 was probably the only console to not.
And I thought about that. And it made me wonder, but then it kind of made sense because the whole
cartridge
retro, no, besides that, but like the whole kind of like thought of retro going back, I don't think was really there at the N64. They were too busy on moving forward. We got Super Mario 64, unless it was like an old school arcade game.
Right.
Like where they put the Donkey Kong arcade game in Donkey Kong 64.
Exactly.
I think there was more time there than actually putting Super Mario Brothers onto like Super Mario 64 or something like that. But yeah, it was very weird that the N64 is basically that and like the original Game Boy are like the only two Nintendo systems that this did not come out on.
Yeah, because it would have been fun as like as a hidden game in Mario 64. Like if you finished all 120 stars and stuff like that, like you unlock the original 8-bit game, but they weren't at that point yet.
No, not yet. And it would be weird to play with the N64 controller if you had to use the analog stick.
Yeah, I would assume you would use the D-pad.
So, Super Mario Brothers, do you get a chance to get a chance? What are your memories of Super Mario Brothers? I mean, you've played it. It doesn't matter when.
Yeah, my memory of Super Mario Brothers is playing it. No,
that's it.
Mean, yeah,
it reminds me of a movie.
The end. It reminds me of two movies. One really bad one.
Two epic movies. How dare you?
One really bad one. So yeah, Super Mario Brothers for me is always gonna, it's always gonna go back to, it was my pack-in game with my Nintendo when I got one for Christmas or my birthday or whenever it was. I honestly don't remember, but and the version that I had was it was Super Mario Brothers and Duck Hunt together, if I remember.
Yes,
correctly.
the combo pack. Yep.
Yeah, there was a combo pack that was the system that I got. So, and I remember playing Super Mario Brothers to no end. Like that game was just gold to me. And the fun of finding the first warp zone was amazing. Because again, these were the days where you couldn't go online to find out cheats or anything like that. You'd have to call the Nintendo hotline.
Yes.
Or get a copy of Nintendo Power whenever that started up, because I don't even think that was out yet. when
No,
I
no,
got a
no. This
Nintendo.
was even before. I think
This-
I don't even think the whatever preceded the Nintendo Power. Oh, I can't remember what it was called now. Oh man, it's gonna bug me.
Oh, I have one of the I think I have one of those magazines at home.
Do you? Oh my gosh, I subscribed to that. I remember I would
Yeah.
subscribe to that like Player's Choice or something,
Yeah, that I think it's yeah, something like that,
something
which
like that.
I think I have one of them, I
That's
think.
awesome because then that
But
turned into Nintendo Power.
right. So yeah, I just remember I played Mario like crazy until I got a copy of Zelda, and then it was all Zelda all the time. Um, but yeah, just finding just the discovery nature of it, aside from just getting through all of the levels, the discovery nature of when you figured out which pipe to go down
Hmm.
for the bonuses,
Yes.
or the fun of going on to like one of the underwater levels where you're swimming. Like there was enough for there was so much variety in a game of that size on 8-bit system that it just kept your attention and it kept you wanting to continue just to see what else it had. Not to mention the fact of, actually knowing that there's an end to the game that you need to find. So yeah, I'll always love that game because it was one of the very first ones that kind of introduced me to this whole other type of gameplay outside of my Atari, where Atari was mostly all about high score.
Have you ever actually beaten Super Mario Brothers without warping?
Yes.
Okay, fair enough.
Yes.
I'm
I have
sure I have. I
I
just don't
have worked
remember.
my way through the entire thing
And one of the challenges that you presented to me, and I will show with gameplay, is going through Super Mario Brothers without any warps.
without
So
the
I do
warps,
plan on doing that.
which is
Um,
good. And then learning the other trick, which I never knew as a kid. I think I learned it. I learned it later on, not like as an adult, but I think I learned it when I was a teenager at some point
mhm.
of how to continue in
Oh
Mario,
yeah.
like after you lose your lives, like how to start on the same world that
Yep.
you were on, which I believe was hold A and press start. Was
Um,
it A and start or select and A or something?
I
Yeah, there was
wanted
some.
it might have been.
I think it was you hold the A button down when you press start, and then you can go back. Like if you died on world 6-3, you your last life, and you're back on the main menu screen. You can like hold down A and press start, and you go back to 6-1. That way, you're not starting from 1-1.
When you lose your last life, hold A at the game over screen until you press start to start a new game.
Correct.
So yes, it will begin at the beginning of the world you lost your last life on. So
Right.
yeah, I
So
remember learning that way later in life.
yeah, I definitely learned it later when I was. I think I learned it when I had the Super Mario All Stars on the Super Nintendo.
Probably right.
Like yeah. So somewhere in like the early to mid '90s when I learned it, because I remember very vividly going back to put the game in to be like, oh, I need to see if this works. And when I did, I was like, oh, this is so cool.
And speaking of All Stars, again, one of the I would dare say, again, there's probably others that have come out before it, but probably the first remaster or remake of a video game that we ever got. It came
Yes.
out on Super Nintendo, later came out on the Wii, actually, the Super Mario All Stars, and currently available on the Super Nintendo for the Switch. The back then, and again, you got to put yourselves in the shoes of us. So
Mm-hmm.
we were, that game came out in 94, probably. So
What
I was
size?
14. 93 came out in 93. So I was 13. You were what, 15 at that
I
point?
was older.
Yes. So you don't want to admit how much older you are than I am?
No. Well, actually, I can because I look younger.
What you do. I look like an old man. Look, folks, there is no dye job on any
Look
one
at
of
this.
us.
Look at this.
Yes, there's no gray on him. And I started going gray in the 7th grade. And
Yep.
that is a god awful truth.
Yep.
So,
Well, no, there are grays on me. You just can't see them. If you keep a certain type of haircut,
that is true.
you can hide the grays.
It does get a little. Oh, I'm also losing it. But
No, you
the
are a lost
sides,
cause.
yeah,
You
no,
are
the
a lost
sides.
cause,
I've
unfortunately.
come to it. I've come to accept the gray. I've come to love it.
I will say that when you don't have the beard, you definitely look like a lot younger.
I look like a very fat baby. I do, yes. And I actually have it. No, I really did. It's the reason why I kept the
That's a
beard.
good way-
No,
good
for
way to
real.
put it.
I should shave my beard because I don't think I've really. I did once, but since losing all the weight, I gotta do it again. See if
Yeah, I bet you'll look different. You'll definitely look different.
That is why I have a beard. That right there. In any event, so Super Mario All-Stars comes out in 93. So at that point, I'm already moved on to Super Nintendo. I'm not even really thinking about the NES anymore. So, and I'm not really thinking about Super Mario Brothers. I'm thinking about Super Mario World.
Of course.
But then all of a sudden, All-Stars come out, which is the graphical overhaul of Super Mario Brothers 1, 2, 3, and this magical game that came out of nowhere that never existed before time until that game came out, Lost Levels. So then going back and then replaying Super Mario Brothers, even with the All-Stars coat to it, that was like the first time I almost re-fell in love with a game. And I like remembering, I remember playing this 10 years ago. No, 8 years prior. I couldn't have been 3. But, you know what I mean? So, like, Super Mario Brothers just holds so much memories, no matter what iteration of the game, of the part of the series, of the movie, of the TV shows. I mean, look, folks, Chris Pratt, maybe some of your Marios. Charles Martinet, maybe some of your Marios. I feel like I can speak for Anthony when we say Captain Lou Albano is our Super Mario.
Growing up, yeah, because we didn't know
he was our first voice of the man.
Well, that's what I mean. Like, because growing up, yeah, like because Charles Martinet wasn't around our purview yet. Yeah,
but I meant like live action as well.
Oh, so. Yeah, no. It starts with Captain Lou.
So in any event, here's a question that I would like to pose to you and actually everyone out listening, watching us. Post in the comments, post on our social media, message us, let us know. And of all the, how many did you say? I can't do the math. 36 worlds? 8 times 4? 36?
8 times 4, 32.
All right, 32. I was close. Of all the 32 levels, which is your favorite level?
I would say the 8th one.
No, the 8th one of all of them, literally. So that's
no. Yeah, so I did I had to kind of really think about this one because first off, my brain automatically goes to all the like very limited number when you use the warps, because when you use the warps, you only play like, I don't know, eight or 10 levels.
Probably less than half of the game.
Yeah, you play less than half of the game with all the warps. So
1, 2, 3.
I'm trying to
think of the minimum number of levels.
Yeah,
now.
So you go from 1, 2.
1, 1, 2. You warp from 1, 2 to 4, 1.
4, 1.
Then 4, 2, you warp to 8, and then those 4 boards. So that's 1, 2, 3.
So that's
8 levels.
That's 8 levels. You can you can beat the game in 8 levels.
That's it. Yeah, okay.
You can beat the game in 8 levels. So I tried to go through the entire game because I've played through the entire game multiple times.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to say, the one that I really enjoyed because of the variety it had was level 5-2, World 5, level 2.
Okay.
And what I liked about that one is you got, again, as you go on, the levels get more challenging.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't like any level that was like icy.
Yeah, there was that one level, that like snow level.
I think it was like 4 something.
No, I think it's like 6-4 or something.
Yeah, it might be 6 something. Anyway, but level 5-2 to me, which I really enjoyed, it had a bit of everything. It had the cannons with Bullet Bill, and I love Bullet Bill. That was always fun. It had the Hammer Brothers, which would always get me somewhere. There was a pipe you went down that took you into the like a water portion. Which again was fun. There was another block you can hit that would go up into the sky, so you can get some bonus coins. So I felt like that board had like a great balance of everything.
It did. You're right. It does have a little bit of everything. 5-2. I mean, that's an awesome level. It just has a little bit of everything. It really does. My personal favorite, and probably because of the warps, is how I get to it. Mm-hmm. I adore 4-1. Now, World 4-1 is the one where it's just spikes and Lakiku throwing the spikes down at you. I always mispronounce it. What I love about the level is it is one of the first and the only time that I guess I can call it speed run through the level itself.
Mm-hmm.
I book through the level. I love it because I finish it in a few seconds because I've got it memorized to the so far down that I just run right to left, skipping over everything, and I just have so much fun with that level.
Do you mean
And
left to right?
yes, what I say, right to left.
You said right to
I
left.
was playing Super Luigi Brothers before we recorded. I
Yes, you
swear.
were.
4-1 is my absolute favorite, but it almost gives. I almost do the same thing on level 2-3, which is the bridge with all the cheap cheeps coming at you.
Yep.
Again, another one that I can speed through, but I do have to slow down every now and again. I haven't figured out how to run through the entire level.
All right, but you can get through it quickly.
I can get through it quickly, but 4-1 is my just absolute favorite level. So
Okay, that's fair. I love those little spiky guys too.
they are. They got so dissed in the movie, in the animated movie.
Yes, they
When
do.
Bowser's like, Koopas, Koopa Troopers, you guys. And like, oh.
Uh, well, we're calling them spiky guys, and that's not their name because we don't know it.
They're
So
called spikes.
we're dissing them just as much.
No, they're called spikes. Right? Now that I'm
That-
checking.
Yeah, see, now you got to look
Now I have to look it up.
because we're not sure.
Because you say it so many times. I was at work the other day and I had to give our fax number, and I say the fax number probably 50 times a day. And every once in a blue moon, I just blank on the fax number.
Yep. I have those moments. Spiny. That's what
Spiny.
they are. Spinies.
God, we're terrible. No know why people yell at us.
Yes, of course. One person in particular.
Yells
But he
at me.
only
Yells
yells
at
at
me.
you, which is
He
fine.
does. I love it.
Yes.
Besides the digital copies that I do have 4 physical copies of
Okay.
the game to show off. And what I'm going to try and do is, it's not going to be live because I don't think I can pull it off. But I don't know if I'm going to do it as the premiere, which might be live, is going to be me playing through Super Mario Brothers without warping. The challenge that is being
Yes.
laid down.
That is the challenge I threw down.
But I'm going to try and put together a little kind of homage, if you will, of different versions of Super Mario Brothers that I own. And for the most part, they're going to look exactly the same, but just different gameplay. I have it on the Nintendo, the original NES.
Excellent. Yep.
I have the classic NES series, Super Mario Brothers, for the Game
Very
Boy
nice.
Advance. And I'm not talking about Famicom editions or anything like that. These are all like
Right.
North American versions. I got, which is actually touted as one of the best ports, remakes of any game ever, Super Mario Brothers Deluxe on the Game Boy Color.
Nice. Okay.
This is a very interesting one to play and to watch when I show that.
I'll have to try that.
Which hopefully has charged. Yes, it has. And can I get it to show? Yes, I can. The awesome Game & Watch that came out for the 35th anniversary.
Very cool.
Super Mario
Very, very
Brothers.
cool.
I also have it digitally on the Wii, on the Wii U, on the Switch. And I think those are all my North American copies. I thought I still had Animal Crossing for the GameCube, but apparently I don't. So I do not have that copy. Oh, and I have it on the 3DS as well. So
Nice.
I have a lot of copies.
You do have a lot of copies.
So-
You do have a lot of copies.
All right. So with that, again, it's Super Mario Brothers. Nothing else to say, but it's an amazing game. No matter what version you have of it, I hope you enjoyed playing it. We hope you enjoyed playing it. And I'm gonna get a kick. I'm gonna try and do it from when we record it, either today or tomorrow. Just throw together all these different versions. Maybe just play through level one of each. Could I string together how many games? How many did we say? 8 levels?
There are
The
8
minimum?
levels to
The
get
minimum?
to the end. Yeah, the minimum.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
You have 8 versions.
7. I might have 8 versions. I might be
One
able to
level
string
per.
along. I might. The 3DS one's going to be very hard to do. And if you want to kind of count it, I am going to count it, kind of sort of. Super Luigi Brothers. I mentioned it last week. It's actually on NES Remix 2 for the Wii U. And it is a mirrored version of Super Mario Brothers.
That's right. Where you go to the left.
You go right to left. It is literally mirrored because the question blocks are also mirrored on it. You play as Luigi, but you have like that Luigi from Lost Levels from Super Mario Brothers 2 in Japan, so he jumps higher. So you do have a little added extra help to you. But playing it right to left, very, very weird. All right, so Super Mario Brothers, again, you can't say enough about it, but there's really not anything else to say about it. So we hope you all enjoyed it. Ryan, thank you very much for choosing Game of the Week.
Thank you, Ryan.
And we give the controls back to Anthony.
That's right. Now it's my turn to pick Game of the Week, and I picked a really good one, Larry, because I'm going to make you do a little bit of work. I don't know if people saw that but I posted this earlier this week that I am fortunate enough to have in my office. I'm in LA. My job is here, but in my office, in the kitchen, is an original Donkey Kong arcade cabinet. OG Jumpman.
That looks sweet.
And it's awesome to play. So I would get to the office early every morning because my goal was to get on the high scoreboard.
You don't have to own every arcade high score. You still got stupid mind.
The challenge is real. I need to own the Donkey Kong arcade cabinet in my office. I did not succeed this time.
Oh.
I did not. So I have some work to do when I come back. But what I'll do is I'll go watch a whole bunch of Billy Mitchell videos and find out how he cheated. I'll find out how he cheated.
Steve Wiebe.
I can do no. I want to cheat. So, so thinking about that Donkey Kong cabinet made me think about what actually led me towards the game of the week.
I know where you're going with this. I can do this. Okay.
Yeah, you can totally do this.
Absolutely. I can do it with my eyes closed.
Yeah. So this week's game of the week will not be Donkey Kong, but we're going to do a game of the week on one of the games that just got released on the Nintendo Switch Online, which is why Larry's going to have to do some work for this one. We are going to play Donkey Kong Jr. Math for the Nintendo Entertainment System.
For real?
Yes.
Oh, man.
And you know what? Not only are we going to do that, but I want, for the first time, I want to see dual gameplay from us because I want to see people. I want people to watch you get some of the math wrong.
Am I allowed to use a calculator?
No.
Oh my gosh. When was the last time you played this game?
Oh, probably when I was like 7. Or whenever it first came out when I was a kid.
A 7-year-old you would still be better at the math than a 44-year-old me. So keep that in mind. Okay. We can probably, the game is 2-player. I know it's a little fickle for online, but there might be something we can try and figure out.
Well, I think we can figure it out. This could be fun.
Otherwise, we might just have to do 2 separate recordings and we can put them together. But okay. Okay, folks. Donkey Kong Jr. Math, which recently I think was selling for about $500 original in box.
Yes.
Which I do not have a copy of.
I do not have a copy of it either.
I might have the original. No.
The original? No. I do not have the original. I do not have the original either. But we don't need the original because now we have an opportunity to play it online.
This is true.
Donkey Kong Jr. Math, this week's game of the week.
All right. Well, with that, first of all, Ant, where can people let us know where their favorite world is in Super Mario Brothers? Where can they hit us up?
Yeah, if you want to tell us your favorite world or how bad you are at math like Larry, you can contact us at facebook.com/RetroGamersPodcast, on Instagram at RetroGamersPodcast, on Twitter at RetroGamersPod. You can listen to us wherever you listen to podcasts. You can watch us on YouTube and Spotify at RetroGamersPodcast, or you can email us at email@theretrogamers.com. And I will say this, Larry, I watched one of our episodes for the first time on Spotify the other day.
Oh, Spotify. Spotify's not bad.
Yeah, no, I just hadn't done it before. But while I was working, I was like, oh, let me throw on our episode. And then I was like, oh, yeah, I can watch it here. And that's how I watched all the Atari gameplay that you put in there.
And like, he is good at Quantum.
Yes. So very, very cool.
Awesome. Well, with that, let's start to wrap things up. And you look like you're about to melt with the heat, with the sweat and everything.
The sun is creeping over and I don't like it. So
yeah, let's get into news.
All right. I'm only gonna go through a few bits.
I saw that. The sun hit you right there. I saw that. That beam was not there.
And you can see how, like, look at this.
That's what I saw.
I'm starting to shine. Look,
all right, let's wrap this up then.
No, we're gonna turn. We're turning away from the sun.
Are you pivoting?
I pivot.
Okay.
Pivot.
All right. No problem.
Pivot. All right. So run through a few quick things. One, you'll be very happy about, Larry. I know you've been waiting for this to come to the Analog Pocket, this one game that will be available. It's also coming to the Mister this week. And when I say this week, I mean the week that just passed. So you can download this now. You can now play Michael Jackson's Moonwalker on your Analog Pocket.
Okay.
You can save all the little children. You can use Bubbles to help you.
Is Bubbles in the game?
Yeah, Bubbles is in the game.
Bubbles is in the game. Okay.
Yeah, I think he's actually on Michael's shoulder.
Well, funny enough, I just updated my Analog Pocket this morning. So now
you can go save the children.
Save the little children.
So have fun playing Michael Jackson's Moonwalker. Actually, you know what? I'm lying. I think it's the arcade one.
That's what I'm looking under. I'm trying to
Yeah.
find.
No, it's the arcade one.
Okay. I haven't found it yet on mine. I don't think it's updated on mine, but I'll try. Oh no, there it is. Michael
Yep.
Jackson's Moonwalker. Here we go. It's loading right now as we
There
speak.
you go. All right, go save the children. All right. Moving on.
Oh, I can't play it yet. Okay.
Bummer. Moving on to a couple of book pieces. I thought this was just kind of fun. I know, nerd. There are 2 new books coming out, or companies are focusing on 2 new books coming out, and they're both for handheld systems.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I thought you would be interested in these. So Sega's Game Gear is getting a book, which will do a deep dive into the Sega Game Gear system.
Great system.
Yeah. Oh no, it's definitely one of the best ones. And if you go to at Sega 16 on Twitter,
X.
they made the announcement there.
Sega 16.
Yeah, Sega 16.
Okay.
At Sega 16, you can read about it there. And then the other book that's coming out is going to be on the Game Boy Advance, and this is being done by Ninty Media, Ninty.
Okay.
So Ninty Media, they've already done a book on the Game Boy and the Game Boy Color. Now they've moved on to the Game Boy Advance. It's going to be a premium coffee table book with more than 350 pages.
Oh, wow.
All dedicated to the Game Boy Advance.
PDF it is.
Yep, so you can check that out. Okay, the next bit of news will be something very interesting, Larry. Actually, for you and for me, because this is kind of a cool little item. But NeoStormer is about to open pre-orders on what they're calling the GC Net,
Okay.
a GameCube network adapter that plugs into your memory card slot.
Really?
Yep. So you plug it into your memory card slot, and then it's a broadband adapter. You plug it into your memory card slot, and then you obviously have to use a cable, use a broadband cable to hook it up, and then you can play games online.
Interesting. Now, the GameCube did used to have, you had to buy it separately, did have a network adapter to it, but this is way more convenient.
Way more convenient. And supported titles for this include 1080 Avalanche, Homeland, Kirby Air Ride, Phantasy Star Online Episode 1 and 2, and most importantly, Mario Kart Double Dash.
Okay, I had no idea Mario Kart Double Dash was online, or is it maybe LAN? Oh, it might be for a LAN party.
It could be for a LAN party.
That would make it a whole lot easier as well. Ooh, I like that. Yep. Okay.
Yep. So GCNet is the name of the GameCube network.
For
network adapter.
Double Dash, link the game with 8 other players using a broadband adapter and race each other side by side using multiple game systems and multiple televisions. That's an old school LAN party. That rocks.
Well, yep. LAN party could be fun.
All right.
Okay. Another bit of news. Remember when I don't remember when this was. It was like a few weeks ago. I may not have been that far, but I brought up this company. I want to say from South America, Spain, something like that. They were creating the Super Sega FPGA to play every Sega console.
Ugly looking thing, yeah.
The ugly looking thing that could play every Sega console, right?
Yeah.
So they recently posted some sample gameplay.
How did I not? I'm following them. How did I not see this?
They recently posted some sample gameplay for, I think, every version of it, every console except for the Dreamcast. They still have a few more weeks left to show off the Dreamcast stuff.
Okay.
So the footage shows the Sega Master System and Genesis cores in action. You got Saturn, Bomberman, Shinobi, and Golden Axe 2. They did a demo for those games. So they're making some headway. They're hoping that they can go into the prototype production's going in October, and they're hoping to have it completed by December. And then they're also searching for funding. They're going to be searching for funding for this.
Oh, yeah, look at this. All right.
Yes. So it's moving forward, which
I'm
is
looking
cool.
at it now. I'll probably already have the video up over us talking. Look, if that's the the splash screen, that's really interesting. Yep. Okay. So
curious to see. Yeah, I'm happy to see that there's progress on it.
Yeah.
So really cool. Another item that may be worth purchasing, Larry. This caught my eye, and this actually sent me to Kickstarter.
Oh, you never go to Kickstarter. Okay.
I was very intrigued by this. But it's interesting because this is wave 3 for this item that's being crowdfunded right now.
Okay.
It's called Book 4 Games. Book, the number 4, and games. They are precision game storage.
I've seen these. Yes.
You've seen these. Okay.
I've seen them. Yep.
So
I've seen the new ones though.
So basically it looks like a very thin book, but inside it holds a certain number of video game cartridges. So like the NES version can hold 4 NES cartridges in one book. The Super Nintendo one holds 6. And you can basically just put them on your shelf the way that you would put your books on a shelf.
They look like giant coffee table books. And
yeah, they look, yeah.
And you're right. You know, it doesn't fit a ton. So really these would be like maybe like for like your top games that you want to keep pristine or whatever.
Yeah, just preserve them. Yeah.
Preserve, yeah. I might actually pick up the TurboGrafx ones only because it holds so many.
Well, I was going to say they have options for Game Boy, Game Boy Advance, Game & Watch,
yes,
Famicom, Genesis, PC Engine, NES, SNES, and Game Gear.
Wow.
So yeah, so really cool. And I thought the same thing too, because I only have a handful of TurboGrafx 16 games. So just getting one of those just to have them in a book and keep them. And again, it's all enclosed.
Oh,
so
yeah.
So just a good way to preserve your games.
Enclosed, but the front is clear, so you can see what's in.
The front is clear, so you can see the game. But then again, like I said, you can put them all on a bookshelf sideways.
Exactly.
And it tells you which system they're for.
Exactly.
So that way it's easy to pick up.
All right.
So I thought this was really cool. Actually, maybe we'll talk later about maybe we'll split a batch.
Maybe we will talk.
And then the last bit of news I wanted to share, and I didn't know that somebody was working on this, so it's actually kind of cool. Level 4 Games, LV4, right? They're called LV4 Games. They announced a project that's been going on. So I don't know when they originally announced it, but I just found the news now. They're doing a game. They're doing a version of Castlevania, the original Castlevania, but it's called Castlevania Revamped.
Ooh.
And what they're doing is they're turning the original Castlevania into a Metroidvania game. So Castlevania is going to play like Castlevania Symphony of the Night.
Oh my God, that is going to be wicked.
I thought that was really cool. So I want to keep an eye on this project. And it's going to be open source.
Okay.
So
that's good.
Yeah, they can't make money off
Look
of it.
Look at this thing. Again, I'll throw the video up when we're talking. Yep. This is just kind of like a preview on YouTube at Level 4 Games. Wow.
Yep.
This thing looks awesome.
Yeah, very excited about this. It was kind of like when I downloaded that version of Castlevania 2 that was remastered, where they fixed all the issues with it. And it was an awesome game until I got to the end, and I couldn't beat Dracula because I needed something and I couldn't get back up to the castle.
Yes, I remember.
But other than that, everything about that game was awesome. I played all the way through it.
Fantastic. This thing looks awesome.
Yeah. So this looks really cool. Definitely want to keep an eye on Castlevania Revamp from Level 4 Games.
Definitely.
And that's what I have for Retro News.
All right. I think with that, we will wrap things up. And one more time, where can they find us?
You guys can find us on Facebook.com/RetroGamersPodcast, on Instagram at RetroGamersPodcast, on Twitter at RetroGamersPod. You can listen to us wherever you listen to podcasts. You can watch us on YouTube and Spotify at RetroGamersPodcast, or you can email us at email@theretrogamers.com unless I melt in the sun.
Well, with that, we'll get you back in the air conditioning and enjoy your time.
All right. I will be talking to you next week from a whole other country.
Where in the world is Anthony going to be?
That's right. Happy guessing.
They got to be somewhere in LA. If you find them, give them $25. They can sing that theme song.
I will do that. I will be like, acapella. Come on, you got to do our opening.
Rockapella.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Rockapella, sing acapella, whatever.
We'll catch you everywhere, literally everywhere, next week on the Retro Gamers Podcast.